Hello and welcome to Community Forum. I am your guest host tonight. My name is Irina Yakovleva and I have the pleasure of having three wonderful guests, a dog trainer, behavior specialist, and whisperer. I have a lot of names. Ed Simon, a dog lover and a customer of Ed Simon, a client, Gloria Cosgrove, and a little bit over here.
How are you?
Hi. So thank you so much for being here. I'm very
you.
excited. And thank you, little bit.
All are so excited.
Hello.
So
You are a dog specialist. Would you call yourself that?
yeah, I like dogs. They like me. We know each other and we work together. Yes.
That's great. Now, how did this interest come about? Were you always interested in animals and pets as a child?
Yes. I spent more time trying to figure out why birds bob their head when they walk than doing the homework I was supposed to be doing. But it's tending to help out these days. So yeah, from the beginning. So we stuck with it.
So were you aspired to be a dog trainer?
I had no idea, but I know I was going to be with animals, and I find the biggest need in this area for help, so if I can offer some, I'm willing to and love to.
And what is your education and background before?
I got out of high school and then ran.
You're from Danbury?
Yes. Born and raised, graduated Danbury High in '98, and from there on I got my license. I worked for the state as a wildlife control operator, catching raccoons out of the attic, bats out of bedrooms, skunks from the porch, all that fun stuff. On top of a bunch of other jobs as well, but always dealing with dogs here and there. And then as the years went on, we kind of funneled toward the dogs and left the raccoons in the attics. There's a lot of professionals that can help there now, but I think we need more help in this area. The dogs.
The dogs, and that's what we are talking about today. And so do you think it's a natural ability to understand and connect with dogs? I mean, do you think this is something that you were kind of born with, or?
It's something we're all born with, but we veer off of it as we learn to communicate with our thumbs instead of our bodies, which is how dogs communicate. And it's about simplifying and getting back to the basics to make things simple. And when things are simple, you can produce results, which is harmony with the dogs and their families. That's what I mean by results.
So dogs are really known as a man's best friend, and we all, as humans, we love our dogs.
Absolutely.
We spend so much money on our dogs. We spend so much time, and it's especially in the United States. I think we are just very devoted to dogs.
Pets, animals,
Yes.
especially the dogs. Absolutely.
So how would, in your experience in dealing with a lot of animals and working in the Wildlife Conservatory and now specializing in dogs, how do you describe the psychology behind that? Why are we so attached to our dogs?
Well, you started this bit with being man's best friend, right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. There's a phrase that most of us know that says dogs love unconditionally, and I do believe this to a certain extent, but I think too many people take that the wrong way. We meaning us humans, we take these dogs and we love them to death, which is awesome. But
a little bit loves you.
They come from a different way, right? Now, I'm going to ask you to not feed excitement to this little monster. You have to follow the rules. Please. Now, as cute as this little monster is, she came to us because she had some hyperactive energy, which led her to eventually start to bite a little bit. So we had to teach her a lesson. We had to kiss her really hard until she stopped biting.
Aww.
But getting back to the point, I'm sorry, I ramble. But these, the loving unconditionally, humans, we tend to get these dogs and they become emotional sponges. We want them to love us unconditionally, but we don't ask enough questions about what we can do for the dogs. We want the dog to do this, we want the dog to act this way in the house. Relax.
So we expect the dogs to be our best friend, and it's a one-sided
the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
And we all know that any relationship where you don't respect the needs of the other side aren't always healthy. Which is why my belief we have so many problems with dog behavior in this country.
Now, Gloria, you adopted a dog, right?
Yeah, I did, and I've been around dogs my entire life. And Brooklyn was actually my third dog that I currently have right now.
Now, just to give the viewers a little bit of background, Brooklyn is a wonderful dog that Gloria adopted from, what is a pet shelter?
She was rescued from a shelter in Brooklyn, and
that's what I mean.
ironically, the rescue group that Eddie's working with now, Tales of Courage, is where I adopted her 3 years ago.
Okay. And she was a very aggressive dog when you
She didn't
adopted
start off
her.
that way.
Okay.
She started off having had the first 4 months of her life with a broken growth plate. She was emaciated and was left at the kennel to be euthanized because there wasn't enough money to be able to fix her leg. And I don't really know the full story, except that when she was picked up by Tales of Courage, she was about 2 hours from being euthanized.
But how did you connect with Brooklyn? We spoke a little bit earlier of why you decided to go to a shelter to adopt a dog, and it was because you saw that so many dogs need a home, and you saw an opportunity to help in a way, but then you had to choose one.
Right.
So how did you establish that connection?
So I went with Brooklyn because there was a picture, it was on Pet Finder, and she had a broken leg. And I knew that her chances of being adopted with a broken leg were going to be very slim. So being the mush that I am inside, I decided that I couldn't stand her not having a home, and wasn't planning on getting her, but said, let me just go check her out just in case. And the next thing you knew, I was adopting her. So
They sell themselves pretty well,
yes,
these dogs.
yes, they do.
Yes, they're very cute, and there's so many wonderful shelters that we can go to.
But she started off fine. I went through obedience training with her. I socialized her. She was at the dog parks. Everything that the textbook, that most of us who have dog owners, think, the sit, stay, the come.
What breed
all
is
of those
Brooklyn?
things. Brooklyn is a mixed breed. I'm not sure of all that she has in her. Probably boxer and some other things. I don't know, maybe a little pit bull in there.
Because I'm curious, Eddie. I mean, what breed are you? A little bit.
I'm a Chihuahua Pekingese mix.
So are there certain breeds that have certain personalities, and when you're looking for a dog, should you look for a certain breed depending on how much time you have, depending on what your needs are? And
This is, I often get asked to help with people that are picking a dog,
Yes.
or I get the question, I have this kind of family with this kind of blah, blah, blah. What dog do I get? What breed do I get?
yes, because I feel like some dogs, and this is just my opinion, of course, but I feel like some dogs are
entitled.
more high maintenance.
Sure.
I have a Chihuahua. No, I have a Yorkie. I'm looking at a Chihuahua, and they're both small. But a
she's not
Chihuahua and
upset.
Yorkie, they're not as high maintenance as a pit bull, and it's easier to train.
Well, you haven't been
Maybe.
coming to work with me,
Yeah.
right? Now, if every dog under 30 pounds had a record of every bite they had, these Yorkies and Chihuahuas would be the most aggressive dogs in the world.
They have the Napoleon syndrome, though.
Well, we're gonna talk
they
about
want to
that,
use their
too.
voice, and they want to bark, and they want to stand authority because they're small.
Now, see, I got to intervene. This is what we're about, right? Now, the Napoleon complex, the little dog complex. We all know about it. We've all seen it. Come here. Stop it. Speaking of, so the Napoleon complex, little dogs, okay? They're not ugly. I don't care if they have 3 eyes. They're adorable, right? So is a Labrador puppy. But when that Labrador becomes a 60-pound, goofy, floppy, crash into you puppy, we start giving him more direction about climbing on us and being in our personal space, especially, right? Because the bigger dogs are bigger. They can hurt us, they can scratch us, knock us down. Now, dogs that are under 15 pounds, even when they're mature, we don't really control our space so much because they're so darn cute and little. So they tend to get away with a lot more, and we give less direction. How many times, even when these little guys, when they growl and snarl at you, it's still adorable, right? So because
So you're
they're
more
cute,
forgiving? It's like a little kid? It's
less structure, less discipline, it's like spoiling a kid, which
so
is going to
every
create
type
a
of
monster.
Dog needs training and
needs
Behavior
direction.
shaping.
Yes, direction. I call it direction. The more you tell them what to do, the more they're willing to listen. And when I say tell them what to do, I mean like this: relax. You're not jumping and gonna go smell and climb through everything, which she would of course do if we just let her, right? But I can't ask her to just calm down when the doorbell goes off and she's going nuts. I have to tell her what to do all the time anyway. So when the doorbell goes off and she goes bonkers, for me to say, slow down, relax, let me handle it, it's nothing new. But most of us wait to try to tell our dogs what to do when they're at an elevated state of intensity, whether it's excitement, aggression, territorial behaviors, any of the above. And to me, it's about being consistent and having the right relationship from the beginning, so you can control all the other unwanted behaviors as opposed to try to fix them once they happen.
Yes.
Once they start.
So Gloria, when you got Brooklyn, you said that you went through some training, everything through the book.
And I've had dogs my entire life.
Okay.
We've had kennels, I've rescued greyhounds, I've had dogs my entire life. And
Good. Good.
yeah. But with Brooklyn, I think that what I did was replaced what she needed. And this is what I've learned since, Eddie has provided
This is
all
a
this
big
information.
quiz.
And this is a big information, is that I was trying to fill what she needed with what an adult would give to fill that. So love and compassion.
But what signs did you first see of Brooklyn's aggression? Or what were the first, because when you first got her, you said that it wasn't a big issue, right?
No, she didn't have any signs of aggression at all. And she never showed any aggression towards me. But what happened is that because I gave her the love, even though I trained her and all of that, her insecurity was higher. Her insecurity became higher because I wasn't giving her what she needed. So I was giving her love and, babying her and, trying to help her with her leg and, oh, you poor thing. And so she would do something wrong, but I always it's like the kid that's spoiled, right? I didn't give him direction. So I'm thinking,
So
letting
you
them
thought
get away
love
with it. And she had the obedience training and all that.
And what is obedience training?
Sit, the whole learning
Okay, so
how to
sit.
sit. Yeah. Yeah.
Laugh.
With the treats, have a treat and teach them how to come.
Did you have a trainer or you did this yourself?
Yeah, I started off, I actually took a class at WAGS, where my dogs were going at the time. And, and then later on I had trainers come in to try and help me with certain issues.
So she was good with obedience training. She was very
She was
responsive.
perfect. Yeah, she was totally great with people. She was great
So
with
when did the
obedience.
aggression start? What was the
So
first
the
sign?
aggression started probably after her third surgery. So because of her leg, she had one surgery before I got her, and then two since I've gotten her. And she started to be very afraid of going to get the surgery, and and just that whole piece of it. And I started noticing that when people came over, she started getting a little bit more protective, like barking and so forth. She never really. And that started to increase. I had people come in and walk her, and she was great with
when
them.
people came to your house?
When
or
people
when
came
you
to my
brought her
house
to
that
the
she knew,
hospitals, or-
when she had people come to the house that she knew, she was fine. But what happened was people that started coming that she didn't know, the anxiety that she had, she started to exhibit like in the growling, and she would pee like from excitement. And so I started to seek out help. Saying, okay, I need some help.
So she started growling and she started peeing.
Right, and
So
just
those
being
were the
very
first-
nervous. But
What do you mean by nervous? Shaking?
Well, I think, and he's the expert, so I mean, aggression takes form in different ways. So the way that I understand it from you is that she has internal excitement that she can't express, and overexcitement through whatever condition she's put in, and me not being
So you noticed her
strength.
behavior changing.
So I thought it was just that she was uncomfortable and thinking, okay, I'll baby her and and so forth. But what she actually needed was me to give her direction and for me to be the strong one in the relationship, not she felt like
the
she
alpha
had
male almost. She
or the
needed a
alpha woman.
protector. Yeah.
It's usually the female that runs the pack.
Yeah.
in the Wolf group.
Yeah,
So
so-
that's when you sought out.
But I started to seek out advice, and so they started to tell me, keep her in the crate when people come over, put a blanket over it, start to teach her that that's her safe place to go, and not knowing that it actually made it worse. I mean, there's a video of Brooklyn when Eddie first came, and she was in the crate with the blanket over it, and I mean, I thought he was going to leave. I really did. I was
thought
sitting
I was gonna
upstairs,
leave, too.
and he said, "Don't come down, no matter what." And after 30 minutes, I thought, this guy, he's not going to stay.
But before you went to Eddie, did you go to any other trainers or any?
Yeah, I went to a real behavioral veterinarian, and she recommended that I euthanize her. And she's the one who taught me to.
But she's so little.
I know. But I was in a room, and this is something that's one of my pet peeves. A lot of times when they do aggression training, they're put in the worst situation. They're already afraid. We were in a vet office. We were in a veterinarian hospital in her office in a closed quarter with the door closed. She was behind the desk and said, "Do not let that animal near me," as she was diagnosing her. And as Brooklyn continued to bark and growl, she then demonstrated to me, as I was bawling my eyes out, that she needed to be euthanized, and that this
how did you
and
feel about
the aggression. I walked out in absolutely a wreck.
And you said no. You said that.
No. So I decided that I was going to protect. It's not her fault that she's aggressive. I sought out other people, and.
So you realized that there's another.
So I decided to protect her. So I no
yeah.
longer had people come to my house. I couldn't travel. She was kicked out of boarding places. So I decided that I was going to protect her from biting someone, but I also began to limit my life as well.
Okay.
Right? Because I couldn't have people over. I couldn't travel.
Wow, that's a big sacrifice.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to put her down, It's my responsibility. It's not her fault.
But you kept seeking out help, and then you.
And he was my last. Yeah, and someone mentioned him to me maybe about 3 months before I called, like this dog whisperer, and I had about had it with trainers.
Yes.
And I was like, whatever, who is this Eddie, the dog guy thing? And finally, after my vet had said, look, you really need to make a decision about what you're going to do, I said, I'm going to give it one more chance. I called 3 recommendations, one of which was Eddie, and he returned my call.
Aw. So Eddie,
Dun,
when you
ta-da!
met,
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
so when you met Brooklyn, what were his biggest signs of aggression?
The fact that she was trying to eat me through the kennel. There was no wondering what the problem was, we can say. And the professionals had no, they were not wrong in recommending euthanasia because they did not have an answer, which is what we're trying to offer people. On top of that, more importantly, we're trying to offer the information that's going to prevent these dogs from getting this bad in the first place, which is going to start the cycle of positivity. Because I know there's a lot of diehards out there, and I often catch a little bit of static about why am I wasting my time with aggressive dogs when there's so many good dogs that need homes, and that's not wrong, and I can't disagree with them. But in my defense is there's tons of people working with these good dogs, and there's not a lot of answers for these kinds of situations. And the bottom line is, on top of being able to help and do all this, it just feels darn good to supply that, and let alone save a life, Try to act tough, but you cry when you drive away. I'm tough.
So a lot of the
but
times
it's a
when
good story.
even an expert, like you said, says that a dog needs to be euthanized, there are other answers, and people can seek help.
Now, safety always needs to be first. I'm not saying go, adopt an aggressive dog and fix them. That's not the case. There's a lot of work to be done, but at the same
And
time,
they need an expert.
Prevention is what's key. This is what's going to get more of the job done than fixing one dog at a time, which I love to do in-home consultations, but it's just not enough. It's not enough. So we're thanking you for this as well, but trying to get the word out that just keep your mind open. There's always a way. The question is, what's it going to take, and can we keep everybody safe in the meantime?
And what is the way? Is it behavior shaping?
Yes, I'm glad you said that.
So what is behavior shaping?
I do believe obedience training is a necessity.
And that's the command
Sit,
training.
stay, down, come, heel are the basics. And then there's rollover, play dead, and all the fun stuff. But in my opinion, one of the big problems is that when people have an aggression problem or a control problem with their dog, they are told, relax. They are told they have to get their dog trained, right? Now, most of the aggressive cases I meet, they sit, stay, come and heel just wonderfully until the doorbell goes off. Then they want to eat who's ever on the other side. Or until there's another dog. Then sit, stay, come, heel doesn't work anymore. And when multiple attempts are used to try to curb that with training and it doesn't work, the ultimate decision is this dog can't be helped. That's the way the dog is. They have to be euthanized. And I believe that's wrong. A dog's behavior is a product of their environment, meaning literally and as well as the humans in their environment. They adapt to what they need to do or what they learn to do because of their environment. So, for instance, this little maniac.
So they're not born this way. They're not born.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Now, for somebody who's nuts, if when they're chewing on you, when they're misbehaving, when dogs get rambunctious, you can tell them to sit 100 times, and most of us know that when our dogs are misbehaving and we try to tell them to stop, they don't listen. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I want to be able to show them to calm down and relax. And then we share the love. I just behavior shaped right in front of you. Okay, that's how bad it is. But this is what I mean. Excitement is the gateway to behavior problems. People misconstrue happiness and excitement. They're different things, right? To me, a happy dog is half asleep getting a massage. That's a happy dog.
That's a happy human too.
Yeah.
Indeed. When we get home from work and they're bouncing all over the house, that's not happiness, that's excitement.
And we want to control that.
Yes, because excited dogs bolt out the door. Stop, stop, stop. Excited dogs jump on Aunt Mary. Excited dogs bark when we're outside and they're in the house. You see where I'm going?
Yes.
Calm dogs don't knock Aunt Mary down. Calm dogs don't do these things. No
So
microphone chewing.
if you come home and you see your dog so excited to see you, especially a cute little dog, and she's jumping all around and she's...
You asking me what you're supposed to do when you go
Are
home to
you
your dog?
supposed to reward that because you're so
No.
excited?
And this is where
You're
most
not
of us
supposed to
go
be like,
wrong.
"Oh." No.
Our hearts tell us to, right?
Yes. It seems
And
natural almost, like you
Yeah.
petting their...
it's natural to
Feeling.
humans.
Okay.
But see, this is what's different. Now, in a pack of wolves or stray dogs, and I catch a lot of flack about talking about wolves too, but there's always a hierarchy naturally in any
In an
pack-orientated
animal kingdom.
species. The horses, giraffes, elephants, the matriarch, everybody that has a tiered hierarchy is going to need to listen to somebody else. So in the dog world, when the leaders, the pack pair, it's usually male and a female, return to the pack, they strut in, present themselves, standing very tall and proud with their chin up, and everybody else comes to them squabbling, okay? Now, when we get home and our dogs are vibrating with energy, we squabble. That's all they hear. They don't hear, I love you, you're the cutest, I'm home now. All they hear is, I'm happy, right? So we are subconsciously offering the leadership role to the dog. And this is what creates insecure dominance, meaning a dog that takes over because nobody else does.
So in the shaping the dog's behavior and in behavior shaping, we want to
We want to
Shape the
show
human.
them.
shape, it's working with the human and the dog to...
It's getting the human and the dog to have the right relationship.
Okay.
So
love is good, right? You want
At
to...
the right time.
At the right time.
not when they're wiggling or vibrating with
And
energy.
understanding the difference between happy dog and an
Yes.
excited dog. And excited is not such a positive thing.
I save my hugs and kisses and lovin's for when they're happy, meaning relaxed and comfortable. This
And
is
if
when
we
I share.
shape the dog's behavior and the human and work to understand and connect that relationship, we potentially could reduce a lot of euthanizations and dog bites.
Absolutely, and that's what we're trying to do.
Because
That's what we're
a
trying to do.
dog that bites, there's something wrong with the environment, and that depends on the owner, and
Yes,
And it can get worse.
they can get worse if it's not addressed.
absolutely. And unfortunately, sometimes with the wrong information, it gets worse very quickly.
And the wrong information is almost like aggressive training. Is that
What I mean by that is when you have an insecure
Right.
dog who needs to learn some new behaviors. By using treats, you're not going to be able to get in touch with the dog. So they're going to listen.
I just wanted to look at his face.
You wanna? You can kiss and hang out and make out. She loves that too.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for being here.
Say no problem.
Your behavior is getting shaped.
She's
Very
learning as we go.
calm.
But where was I? we're talking, so behavior shaping. The goal is to get the relationship between owner and dog together so they don't have to wonder how to stop the jumping or the barking. They will have control and they can stop any unwanted behavior and then reward
And that's
the
what
dog.
you have done with Brooklyn.
Yes.
And how is Brooklyn doing now?
So Brooklyn is doing really well. I have brought people into the house that refused to come into the house before, and she shows no aggression towards them. I ask people to help me with this, so not get excited and to ignore her and so forth.
That's good.
And people are very supportive with it, but it's an ongoing process. But it's 1,000 times better than it was. It's not. I think Brooklyn will always need to know who's in charge.
Because now
think?
she feels more
Yes,
secure that
she
she
will.
has direction.
Yeah, but I don't. What I have is a dog that's more. I have 3 dogs because I didn't just do Brooklyn. So I've applied this to all of them, and I think part of the reason I wasn't a believer of this in the beginning is because he can do it, right? But can the average person do it? And I think that's why I'm here supporting him, and I think that's why I think it's so important to get the message is that this is easy. This is easier than teaching sit, stay, and come, because it's really a kind of a mindset. And as you begin to think about just, you invite them to come up, you kind of control your space. I mean, he gave me 2 things and left, and I thought, really? That's it? I thought, I'm writing this check, and he says 2 things, and he says, I'll be back in 3 weeks, we'll talk. And within those 3 weeks,
But it takes time to.
but within those 3 weeks, my whole environment in the house was different. I mean, it's 1,000 times better
wow.
now, but it was just that simple thing. And I mean, I can have my dog stay. I can go in, make coffee now. I mean, I just sometimes play with them, but I'll make them stay at the door, wait, I'll make my coffee, and then tell them that it's okay to come out to go outside in the
Well,
morning.
it's a very brave journey, and thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking all the right steps to keep Brooklyn and to shape his behavior so he can have a happy life, and you can have a happy life too. Now we can have all the guys.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And
There we
thank you
go.
so much, Eddie, for doing all your great work
Well, thank
and
you for
spreading
having
this
us.
information. It has been so great having you on the show. And I would like to thank the viewers for watching Community Forum. And again, my name is Irina Yakovleva. And if someone would like to learn more about your services or Tales of Courage, which is the organization that you adopted Brooklyn from, what is the website that they should go to?
Talesofcourage.org. There's a link to Eddie the dog guy there, as well as all the information about those wonderful dogs that need homes.
Wonderful.
It's awesome.
Great.
Thank you again.
so much. And we will see you
Thank
next
you.
week.